Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, it is Sunday. Happy Sunday. And this new week is about to start. So, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin's path this week. There are some economical factors at play. There's also one big conference that can affect Bitcoin. So, let's discuss what they are. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to this new week. We've got several things, several factors at play. So let's get to it. Bitcoin is at 43,100, so kind of still hovering around this 40-something thousand mark. Although, I got something good to show you guys about Bitcoin's consolidation around this period. However, if you take a look at coin market cap today, well, overall global market cap is still up slightly, about 0.5%. And you can see that Cardano is up double digits, including my video that I did last night. I told you guys several big dApps about to utilize smart contracts. So it's very positive for Cardano. But also scrolling down, you can see there are several other projects that are in the green, especially take a look at Phantom, another one of my favorites, up 12% today. And that is enormous. Quite enormous. They're about to become a big cap. Also, another one I mentioned being undervalued is Cosmos, starting to pick up traction. You can see the last 30 days up 100%, including Phantom too. Last 30 days up 133%. So for some of you guys that think that crypto winter is somehow here, or a bear market is somehow here, realize that many altcoins, including Phantom and Cosmos, both formed a new all-time high. And this is just the beginning too. Take a look. Near Protocol also did 100-something% in the last 30 days, right? And many others are about to follow. So it's not as bad as some may indicate. All right. So let's talk about this week. What's going on this week? Well, looking at the economic calendar, there are 2 things, or actually 3 things, that may affect the equities market, which then may affect Bitcoin. Well, if you look at, tomorrow is off. There's nothing being reported. Tomorrow's Martin Luther Jr. Day. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So the equity market is off. Schools are off. But come Tuesday, this is an important one, the NAHB Home Builders Index. And this is going to measure basically how the new homes are and basically how much demand there is for new homes. So this plays into, one of those things that judges how robust or how strong the economy is, right? So this is one of them that we need to look forward to. Also on Thursday, there's a couple other ones. Existing home sales, which is important because homes are really, really hot right now. So is it still hot, or is it starting to cool off? And also this jobless claims, which will measure how many people are out of work right now. So there's 3 things that's coming up this week, and they may or may not cause some volatility with the equities market. If these come in at expected, forecast, then nothing's going to happen. But if any one of these is really off, right, then it's probably going to have some kind of effect with, of course, the traders, which right now are very reactive and basically making a lot of irrational trades. So we'll see. Now, besides these, also in terms of companies that are reporting, last week we had banks that reported very, very well, had huge earnings, yet they tanked. And this week we're going to have more of financial companies and banks like Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, Bank of New York Mellon, but you also have some other companies like P&G, United Health, Morgan Stanley, United Airlines, Netflix, right? So some of these other big names, and we'll see how they did in Q4. But more importantly, what everyone is looking for is, what are they forecasting for Q1 and the rest of this year, especially when inflation is on everyone's minds. Not only inflation, but I read something this morning about wages also being on the rise and how that's affecting the bottom line too. So there's a lot of things at play coming up this week. But besides all this economic stuff, there is one other thing that's directly correlated to Bitcoin, and that is this. Remember all the ESG FUD that we had back in 2021? A lot of claims that Bitcoin mining took more energy than some countries, right? And how it was just bad for an environment and Bitcoin needs to be greener and all that stuff. Well, guess what? There's going to be a hearing about energy usage and environmental impact of Bitcoin, and that will conduct this week, January 20th. So will this also have an impact on Bitcoin? We know that ever since that last meeting, China kicked out all the miners, right? And most of the miners in China were using coal energy and some other forms of, I guess, what you consider dirty energy. But since then, a lot of them have moved elsewhere. And the ones in North America are all basically trying to use renewable energy, and several other places around the world also looking at primarily just using renewable energy for Bitcoin mining. So things may have changed vastly within the last year. So we will see. But this is also coming up this week, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what these congressmen and women decide. We know there are some friends within Congress, but there's also some enemies. And maybe they just cancel each other out. Who knows? Maybe. All right, what are some other news? Well, as for Bitcoin, in terms of price action, we know that it's kind of stagnant. What's also stagnant is the fear. And the fear level is still in extreme fear. We're still at 21. It seems like we can't get out of this extreme fear mode, which I don't get. Fear usually just kind of dies down after a while. But no, right now it's still fearful. And you can see the clump over here of extreme fear starting to add up. And I've told you guys, whenever there's a clump of extreme fear, guess what happens? Usually that's when the market turns around, right? And here's another example that kind of correlates with that. This is measuring realized profit versus loss ratio. And whenever there's extreme fear and whenever there is a big correction, that ratio tends to go to 0. And when there's 0, you can see on the bottom, you can see the circled, and the one on the right is cut off on my camera, but you get the point. Whenever it is at 0 for a long time, it tends to indicate that Bitcoin's about to bounce. It's just like the fear index is almost identical, right? So, good things. Good things look like they're right around the horizon for Bitcoin. We just have to be more patient. All right, there's other things too. This is another graph that's measuring realized profit, and if you look at if basically you're charting this metric out, you'll see that we tend to go through these up and downs, right, during our cycles. And the current cycle we are on, we're actually towards the end of this channel, which actually indicates this is a pretty good reversal point. So again, kind of correlating with the other two things I've shown you guys, right? So any one of these you take with a grain of salt. But when you start adding all of them together, that's when you realize it's forming a pattern. Okay, just a few other things. Here's another one that talks about Wyckoff accumulation. And this became popular in 2021. Some traders realized that, hey, maybe Bitcoin is being manipulated utilizing Wyckoff accumulation because the big boys simply want to accumulate more. The whole point of Wyckoff accumulation, as the name indicates, is because the big boys want to accumulate. And we know they have been, because the number of addresses above 1,000 Bitcoin keeps going up. the number of liquid supply keeps going up, the number of reserves on the exchanges keeps going down. Well, someone's accumulating. If not retail, who? Well, probably the big boys, and they're using Wyckoff. Could be, at least one theory. And then you look at what happened when Bitcoin fell down to 28,000. This was back in June and July. And you look at that pattern versus our pattern now. It's not identical, but it's looking pretty similar, including the drop from the top too. Right? So we're kind of going through that right now. And if we do follow it, we'll probably have to wait a little bit longer until February before things start turning up and we go back to our previous high and we break into a new high. That's if we are following Wyckoff. But why I'm showing you this is because the reason there's a name for this is because one guy decided he had enough and he wanted to reveal basically what the whales are doing. And this has been done with stocks and equities forever. But now it may be done with Bitcoin, right? But the point of this is because they want to accumulate more, not less. They're not manipulating the market for no reason. They're manipulating to drive retail out while they buy at low prices, right? That's the important thing. That is why I tell you guys to buy low, buy when there's a dip, right? And have patience because that's what these big guys are doing. All right, that's pretty much it. Lastly, I just saw this while browsing for articles. Walmart is quietly preparing to enter the metaverse. So Walmart is probably the last company you would think that really cares about the metaverse, but according to several trademark applications, it seems like they're very, very serious about it. Not only about entering the metaverse, but coming out with their own crypto and coming out with their own blockchain. That's how serious they are. They want to dive in completely, maybe come out with a Walmart coin, all right, come out with their own collection of NFTs, and they may be coming up with virtual Walmarts in Decentraland or Sandbox or other metaverses, and who knows what you can do within them, right? So they seem to be very, very, very ambitious at this point. Let's just say that about crypto. So pretty interesting, pretty interesting. All right, that's pretty much it. As for this week, like I said, we got some economic news to look forward to. Monday is off, so there's that. Probably a lighter volume week. But we do have those economic news, and we do have that one hearing about the environmental impact about Bitcoin that we have to get through. But outside of that, like before, Bitcoin is still stuck within this range. But a lot of metrics show it's just a matter of time before we turn right back around. All right, that's it. Let's do some Q&A. Stefan says, Jordan, I was thinking about taking 1/4 of my crypto, selling and putting in DeFi Kingdom. What do you think? I said that's pretty risky. That's pretty risky. You got to realize with DeFi Kingdoms or with any staking, you have to keep in mind that the rewarded token still has fluctuations, can still go up or down, right? So you're taking two risks there. Number one, you're selling off 1/4 of your crypto, which, you know what, could be rebounding in the near future. So you may be losing that potential. And the second thing is, if you put in DeFi Kingdoms and you're staking, even though the rewards are so good, the APR is so good, if Jewel doesn't outperform the fourth of the crypto, right, then you're kind of losing out. Or it underperforms, then you're losing out too. So I think that's a little bit too risky. If you want to dab in, you put some in, that's fine. But to sell out that much, that's a little risky. All right, scrolling up, making sure, again, a lot of ADA comments, man. It's like half the chat is about hating ADA, and half the chat is about liking ADA. And by the way, just to make a comment about Cardano, I don't know if you guys noticed, it flipped above Solana again. Yesterday was at number 7. So it flipped not only above USDC, but it flipped above Solana and now sitting at number 5. So it reclaimed its number 5 position. Can it continue on with smart contracts with the very first AMM Sunday swap that's about to turn on this week? Let's see. If that's a success and they can build upon it, good things for Cardano. Mitch Tyler, I appreciate it. Thank you. What about Death Cross? Nick asked. Death Cross can be a very bullish thing. Last time we had a Death Cross, when Bitcoin hit 30,000, and we shortly turn around and continue upward. So Death Cross is a lagging indicator. Does not mean that it's bearish. There's been times where it's been very bullish because it's a lagging indicator. Everything, all the downwards movement could be over. So even though it indicates a death cross, we could be flipping to the upside. So last time we had a death cross, that's exactly what happened. A lot of people talking about ADA still. A lot of ADA debate. It's like half the chat is about ADA. Do you believe Algorand is undervalued due to PayPal connection? I don't know if they're undervalued, but it does show they're definitely one of the bigger L1s. That's why PayPal is talking to them. But as for their position, they're about a big cap. So I think they're right around where they should be. They don't have the most robust DeFi ecosystem. So I think that will help them. But they are definitely making traction. But, you know, someone like Cosmos, I feel undervalued because they have some DeFi, but it's actually very, very low. Very low. So they have a massive potential if there's more DeFi project to come aboard. But Phantom does have a huge DeFi ecosystem. That's why their TVL is growing by leaps and bounds every single day. So I think that's why they're making big moves right now. What did I miss here? All right. I'm sorry, I believe in crypto, but virtual land is fake and going too far. I don't think it's going too far. It's just an extension of what exists right now. There's virtual collectibles and there's virtual currency. Why can't there be virtual land? It's just the extension of what's being built right now. If you could accept that there's virtual currency, why can't you accept there's virtual land? Doesn't mean that you have to believe in it and just FOMO into it, but you know that's my argument to that. Have I checked out Alpha Impact? And no, never heard of it. Sorry. Football games. Okay. Eddie Hill says, talk about VeChain news. Well, there is some, I mean, I've already talked about it. Right now, it's basically just about building on the DeFi. They got their VUSD, which is really good. But we need more AMMs, and we need more of everything. So I know that there's several games that's being built right now. And of course, they do have NFT marketplaces. At least a few, but not that many. Like Vim World is still one of the bigger ones. And then you have like VPunks, but there needs to be more, right? So VeChain is, I think they're definitely taking serious in 2022 in terms of getting DeFi projects out. Multi-vac over ADA. I'm gonna say no to that. RK, thoughts on Feds raising interest rates? I've been talking about that all of last week, RK. It's going to depend. I mean, basically, I think everyone's under assumption that in March, that's when it will happen. right? There's going to be a Fed meeting 2 weeks from now, and they will decide. But they need all the data to make them decide. That's why some of the economic stuff that I've been talking about, the reports that's coming out, that's measuring how robust the economy is, and these earning reports, they kind of tell a story, right? Because the whole thing about raising rates and reducing the balance sheet is based on the assumption that the economy is strong, and they need to take action to reduce the inflation. But if it turns out the economy is not as strong as they think, they may allow inflation to continue to rise up more, and then they curb that a little bit later, right? So I think going from now, this next week, and what has already come out for previous weeks, I think it's pretty important. And then we'll find out, because the next FOMC meeting is like the end of January. So then they'll announce what they plan on doing. Basil, I already shared my thoughts. You're going to have to rewind. I did cover that. TCAP, price pegged to total market cap. I've seen something like that before. Completely useless in my opinion. No need for that. Update on Chromia. I have no update on them. If my neighbor Alice is doing good, it's probably going to help Chromia. It's just it's a relational, they call themselves a relational blockchain, but it's a platform. So I think they have, my neighbor Alice, and they have a few other dApps, but if they do well, then it will do well. But I have not been keeping up with them. All right, let me make sure. Thoughts on Moses overtaking Pancake's market cap? I mean, it could happen. Osmosis, I believe, is the biggest DEX on Cosmos, right? But there needs to be more. I think the other one is Immersis, I think. But there's basically like two. There's probably a few other smaller ones I've never heard of, but it's a step in the right direction, but they definitely need more. And it makes sense because they're all about IBC, and they have a ton of chains within the Cosmos ecosystem. So you can get all that bundled together and create the ultimate DEX. And it hasn't happened yet, but probably being worked on right now. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Overall, Bitcoin is kind of boring, kind of steady, consolidating still. But this week, we may see some movement, good or bad. The economic calendar is going to reveal a few things this week, right? And they will be telling sign of how good the economy actually is. And we do have that congressional meeting about environmental impact about Bitcoin. So we may get some volatility this week. However, we know that Bitcoin is the one to stick with, right? You're not going to get anything better as a store of value. You're not going to get anything better as a better hedge against inflation. And all the metrics are indicating that we will get a bounce and a reversal soon. So we just have to stay patient. But in the meantime, a lot of these altcoins, a lot of these L1s continue to go up and continue to form new highs. Yes, a lot of altcoins are forming new highs as we speak, but there are many that haven't, but they're starting to come up, and you can still buy them at a discount. So take advantage. All right, guys, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.